let's bring in my guest. He is a city council member for District 13 here in the city of Los Angeles. He I'm just going to read a little bit. He is also DSA endorsed, comes from an organizing background, defeated incumbent Mitch O'Farrell in 2022, and is a proud son of Mexican immigrants. Please welcome Hugo Soto-Martinez. Hugo, welcome.
Hey, nice to see you, Francesca.
Hey, good to see you too. Thank you for taking the time. Things are insane here in LA. Things are insane everywhere. But I appreciate you being here and taking the time because I need to. When I said that people like elected officials who actually have working class needs in their hearts come from that or give me hope, I'm talking about you. I'm talking about Zoran, and it's a rough time. Maybe just react to like this news about this massive budget bill, what it's going to mean for Angelenos here, and just how you're taking this all in as a city council member.
That I think I'm taking it like many people, just completely outraged by what's going on. A sense of like, what do we do in the situation? We have these, white nationalists in power, and they're not just white nationalists; they're capitalists to the fullest extent, and they're not shy about using their power to advance every single thing, even if it comes at the expense of every working person in the United States. So we got to really take a moment of reflect, like, where are we in this country? Like, how did we get this far? Right. And it wasn't always this way. When we had more activism and organizing, like, we were winning stuff. I mean, like, we were passing the Clean Water Act and, the Environmental Protection Agency. Like, these were
under Nixon.
Under Nixon, which is crazy, right? To think how far we've gone. So we just got to come back. We got to come back to our roots. We got to organize and fight. But it's going to be tough. It's going to be a lot of pain in the next few years, probably the next decade.
I mean, I think that's a really interesting moment. It's as an elected official who also has an organizing background, it's an interesting moment to say we got to get back to our roots and to organize, because I think, since 2018 and like the Bernie moment and the squad and all this, I think a lot of, progressives and leftists have, I think, rightfully gotten re-engaged in the electoral arena because they see themselves reflected and represented in the people that have run and, like yourself, have won their seats and ousted, ostensible Democrats who were not doing enough to help them, were not speaking to their needs, didn't know what even their needs were. And yet there are limitations, right? And elected officials are limited in how much they can do and how much so many of the powers that you all are up against will allow them to do. Let's just bring it to here. Here in LA, we're seeing the impact of these ICE raids. We know Stephen Miller, like a month ago, was like, we want 3,000 arrests a day, and you should go to Home Depot. This is what I recommend. Just go to Home Depot, where obviously known criminals hang out? No. Where day laborers, many of whom might be undocumented, are trying to earn a hard day's work. And he ordered ICE officials to do that. He fired a couple of top head officials. And since then, it has been open season. And while, Hugo, the protests have not been as intense as they were maybe 3 weeks ago, the ICE raids have. And I know there's a whole weekend of actions and resistance, and I urge everybody to get out there. But like, maybe just talk about it from your perspective, from a city council perspective. What are you hearing from your district? What are you hearing from your voters and your community?
Yeah, no, people are terrified in this moment. We're hearing people are not going to work because they're afraid to just be out there. We're hearing people have lost their family members. We're hearing people are just, saying, maybe this is a moment where I need to go back to my country and just be in worse situations. And we're hearing from folks that we had a couple of constituents. One of them was a U.S. citizen that was arrested at the Home Depot. Spoke to him for a while and just telling me his experience and how, dehumanizing, how they dehumanized him as a person in that moment, even though obviously he's a human, but he's also a citizen. Yeah. And street vendors who are gone. One of street vendor that I've known for many years. She's in the process of adjusting because she was a victim of a crime. But they didn't care. They shipped her to Adelanto. So a lot's going on. But at the same time, we're seeing a ton of people wanting to get involved. They're joining the rapid response network. They're doing mutual aid. They're going to the protests. And so people that you never thought, would be calling themselves activists are now waking up and saying, like, this has gone way too far. And so we're trying to meet that moment and bring people into the organizing fold because I continue to believe that's the only thing that's going to be able to save us and change the course of this country.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess I want to ask, now in your official capacity, I know that the sanctuary city laws were strengthened recently thanks to, your efforts and other progressive city council members' efforts. And I know that there was, work being done for know your rights trainings and more community sort of defense and kind of modeling. When I spoke to Eunices Hernandez, another city council member on my show, about a month ago, a week before everything went down, she was talking about how they were, ramping that up and trying to be like Chicago, right? Remember, Tom Homan was so pissed because Chicagoans knew their rights and the immigrant community there was like not opening the door or not doing anything. And yet it seemed like back then ICE was knocking. You know what I mean?
Right.
ICE is not knocking anymore. ICE is not asking. There is no even moment to say, hey, I don't have to answer your questions or I'm going inside, because we are breaking car doors with pickaxes. We are, again, just like grabbing people off the street. I mean, this is true secret police type behavior. What has city council been briefed on, if anything? Yeah. And what can you tell us? And what have you been able to do?
Everything you described sort of really shows they're changing, like how they're changing their tactics, right? They were trying to follow the law as much as, they claimed to be in that moment, but it wasn't working. And so LA became, a scientific experiment about how they can just completely get away with a ton of, violations and, doing things without warrants, without any judicial warrants or, just completely violating people's constitutional rights. And so, and now luckily we've been able to do some things, right? We strengthened our sanctuary city laws. We created a rapid response network across the city. We got them know your rights. And so the reason they were that aggressive is because it's true. People knew how to interact with ICE agents, but now we're in sort of a very different world where we're like, well, what do we do now? Because they're just saying, screw the law, right? We're going to do whatever we want. And we're now gearing up for, doing mass nonviolent direct action training. We just did one, a couple of days ago where we were going back to the civil rights movement. Like we're going to put our bodies on the line in a peaceful, nonviolent direct action way. And so that's going to be really key. But anyway, as city council members,
can you tell me more about that? Like who's doing the trainings? Is it your office, or is it? I know there are many like unions now that are involved. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So as a result of it, well, let me take a step back. I think one benefit that we do have in the city of Los Angeles is that organizing is not new to the city, and it's been growing and getting bigger and. Unions are organizing and the nonprofits are organizing, volunteers are organizing, right? Like the Democratic Socialists of America. But the issue has been like, can we get under one tent and be like, let's fight back against this fascist, white nationalist, corporate billionaire class. And so that's starting to form. And one of the things that was really inspiring is we put together a training where we trained over 200 people to lead the training, right? So we were like, it's called Train the Trainers. And so over 200 people were trained on how to facilitate a training on nonviolent direct action.
That's great.
Because I believe that's exactly what we need right now. We need to put our bodies on the line and we're willing to get arrested for a very moral cause. And so it's right now, it's sort of a blend of both government and activism that I think is happening. We're doing the best on council, but I really do think that this is beyond the power of a city council. This is beyond the power of a mayor or even the governor. Like, this is literally the people, the working class people of this country against, this totalitarian regime.
Well, this is the question I have to you, right? I mean, I don't know, again, to what extent the mayor has briefed you. I'm on her emails, obviously. I see the we will not be divided and, a lot of sort of nice language, but I failed to see a lot of action on her part. But also the question is, how much can she actually do? I mean, is it a fair assessment? Is it fair to say that Mayor Bass is not doing enough and could do more? What do you, I know obviously as someone who has to work with her and works under her, it's difficult, but can you just share your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I think we're, as elected leaders, I think people often look at us and, try to put all our hopes and they're going to save us. I don't think this is that moment, right? This is not about, building affordable housing or trying to fix our roads. This is a constitutional crisis that we're in right now. And I think we're all trying to do the best that we can with the tools that we have. And, we authorized, money to do lawsuits. We're redirecting money to do the Know Your Rights and supporting the families however we can. But this is beyond, what we can do, as elected leaders. And I really do think it's going to require a mass movement in order to change this. And so I think with the tools that we have, I think we're all doing the best that we can. Is it enough? No, absolutely not. I'm not gonna, lie to people and say, yeah, we're gonna save people from this federal administration. We got to bring people in to a level of activism, and like I said earlier, some of the nonviolent direct action stuff that we can look at.
Well, this is the question that I have, right? Because I think many people's minds are basically just going to, well, what happens if we do a mass direct action, right? You get arrested. Well, who's arresting you? Well, the LAPD is arresting you, right? The LAPD that ostensibly is not working with ICE, but is arresting anyone who has something to say about ICE and arresting a lot of demonstrators and has been for weeks now. And so, I think one of the biggest tools as our over-bloated police budget would show us is the cops, right? I think that's what everyone's thinking. Look, you got a massive police force. And I've said it before, but I think, and I know I'm dreaming, but would any politician ever direct a police force to actually protect people for once instead of policing us or, putting arbitrary curfews on us or, shooting us with rubber bullets when we're trying to get to our apartments or using horses to stampede our elders? I mean, some of the egregious things that we've seen, Hugo, are, really make a lot of Angelenos lose faith in city government.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I have had many criticisms of our system of public safety, and as we have seen in the last 3 weeks, that trust is eroding ever so quickly, right? When LAPD is, from what I see on video, just giving a safe passage to ICE, arresting folks who were peacefully protesting, and some protests were a little out of hand. I'm gonna just admit that, okay. I don't condone that behavior, but the one that happened, No King's Day, was what the hell happened here? People were doing just fine, and all of a sudden, you saw tear gas and the rubber bullets. But on this front, there's been a lot of internal conversations about what can LAPD actually do in this moment. And I was very happy to second a motion that was introduced by Councilmember Hernandez and Councilmember Blumenfield, requesting the city attorney and the board of police commissioners who set the policy for LAPD, could we require LAPD to go to these so-called federal enforcement and at least verify that it's an ICE agent, that document what's going on, protect the people of Los Angeles and don't just stand by there, just observing, you work for the people of Los Angeles. So and so that motion was introduced, and I think that's a good start. In the
sort of to verifying whether these agents are actually ICE agents. We know that they're masked, and we know the city of Pasadena, I believe, has been passed an ordinance to require that they identify themselves. Are you saying something similar within the city?
Yeah, exactly. Something similar. We I don't want to get super in the policy weeds.
Sure.
But there are powers that are given to cities and municipalities. We have police powers over our streets. And so if we're seeing these so-called ICE agents who are not identifying themselves breaking the law, like literally, in my opinion, those are criminal crime scenes. And so we have the power to look at that and investigate that. And so that's what we're sort of trying to get at through this motion, is how can the police show up and look at that as unacceptable and actually do something about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's again, I'm someone who thinks just like if we keep on putting money into, these agencies, these big agencies, that's what we're going to get, versus if we put money into a massive food program for Angelenos, And I think that's a question I have for you, maybe as a progressive, DSA supported city council member, in terms of your vision for the city. We know if Medicaid goes away, that's going to affect your constituents and so many people here in the city. When SNAP benefits go away, same thing. We've seen the powerlessness of, in the face of of real Gestapo tactics, the powerlessness of Gavin Newsom, of Karen Bass, and sadly of elected officials who, we work so hard to put you where you are and are happy you're there. But what programs can save us? What programs, other than mass direct action and organizing, which I 100% agree with, what are the policies that maybe can support us in these really dark times?
Yeah, I think that's a really great question. And as a city, we're facing our own challenges also with our own budgeting. And, the scale of this problem is so big. This big billionaire bill that just, probably going to get signed pretty soon, is going to have some just a sort of an incalculable effects on working people. Yeah. And so this is a moment where we just have to shift our priorities. We have to shift our priorities as much as we can. But people's basic needs have to be met. We are going to have people that are not going to be able to eat. We're not going to have people that are not going to have health care. We're going to have people that are not going to have, housing vouchers because of the cuts to HUD. Meanwhile, we live in the city that is one of the wealthiest cities in the world. We have a budget that, as you mentioned many times, 40% of that goes to the LAPD. And in my opinion, I don't think that we should be spending that much money into one department while every other city service is going completely neglected. And so there's going to be, I think, just a reckoning even within our own cities. Like, what are we actually going to prioritize in this moment? Because when people can't eat, people don't have a roof over their head. We're talking about the basic needs that people's basic needs that we're going to have to address.
And it's super self-fulfilling, right? Because you already have a narrative in this city that crime is out of control when it's not. We're still on the back of the, incredible wildfires that took so many people's homes and what that did to the housing market. So add, a lack of HUD vouchers, and you're just like, people are going to be in really desperate situations. And if and when people act in desperate ways or are left to the streets to where they, again, and I've talked about this on the show a lot, like, homelessness, being homeless does lead to things like addiction and mental illness. People absolutely think it's the other way around, and that's bullshit. It's like, no, man, living outdoors will make you mentally ill and possibly turn you to drugs. And the point is that then you have this self-fulfilling narrative around, well, look at all, the addicts and look at all the homeless people. We must have more police because inherently by their existence, I feel unsafe. And so it just further polarizes everything. And so I totally agree with you on organizing and really mutual aid, if it's a community fridge or if it is, whatever community space that is nearby. And I'm curious if you guys are investing in that, if if there's places in District 13 where people can come, how do you put forward, or are you boosting, some of these community gardens, community mutual aid fridges, or different organizations CELA that works on homelessness and stuff like this. So how do you guys navigate that?
Yeah, no, I mean, you make a great point about what people can do it and get involved. And I'm very proud that our office is built like that. Our homelessness team, which we have, director and staff, they work directly with all the nonprofits, and whether that's volunteer based or they actually have staff in the district. It's over 40 different organizations. So we bring people into those to try to, if they want to come and volunteer, they can volunteer.
Mm-hmm.
Our tenant advocacy, we have volunteers coming, making sure people have rental assistance and not being harassed by their landlord. And you could think of any need that exists in District 13. We have relationships with all those different organizations because we're trying to be as community driven as much as possible. People can follow our Instagram, CD13 Los Angeles, or my personal one. It's Hugo for CD13. We publicize this all the time. We put it on our newsletters. If you're connected to our office through social media or a newsletter, you're probably going to hear about ways that you can plug in because, I certainly recognize that it's a people-powered movement that is going to really make a change, no matter what scale we're talking about.
Absolutely. Is there anything else you wanted to add, Hugo, before I let you go?
No, thank you so much for going through this big, disastrous bill and, kind of uplift. And you're playing your role as well, educating the masses and making it entertaining at the same time. So
trying to.
I appreciate your time. We're all rowing in the same direction. And, I'll see you on the other side of the shore because we got a lot of paddling to do.
Absolutely. I'll be out there tomorrow morning, downtown LA. Thank you so much. Councilmember Hugo Soto-Martinez. What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/Bitchuation Room. Do it.